Welcome to the Sports Betting Podcast from pregame.com for the week of January 22nd, 2010. I'm your host, RJ Bell. I'm joined by Marco D'Angelo, 30 years in the business, Vegas runner, genuine professional bettor here in Vegas, and star of the CNBC special on gambling. This is segment 3 of 5, and our first of 2 segments on the NFC Championship game. We've got the Vikings at the Saints. Vegas runner, your specialty is line moves. Tell us what's happened.
All right, this one opened up with the New Orleans Saints, a 4.5-point home favorite. The total 54. As of this morning, we're looking at Saints minus 3.5, and the total's 53. The biggest question I'm being asked: will this get to the key number of 3?
Okay, so my first thought is, where that 4.5? Where did you see that open at?
Chris.
All right. So I actually read today that the M supposedly here in Vegas opened that game first. Now I wonder, when they said first, did they mean first in Vegas,
right,
or first off, or
to put
in
a
the
number
world?
up, right?
Because they said they put up a 3.
Wow.
So that'd be interesting to know, but it was quickly bet up. So I think it's pretty safe to say that people thought the open was in the 4.5, 4 range.
Was too high.
Yeah, because remember now, the M is married somewhat to the odds makers here in Vegas. They have a professional, or I guess a business relationship.
Yeah.
They really like to put out that first LVSC number, and the wise guys have been killing it from what I understand.
Yeah, destroying it.
So that number was pretty off, it would seem, at 3 and got bet up way quick.
Yeah, that's why I don't think they want to bring it back down to a key number like that. I think it's going to hover right here at 3.5.
It just goes to show you is clearly, if you think about it, the M almost had to open first, because if Chris did open at 4.5, there's no way the M opened at 3 after that, because they know they'd get middle. So they really did take a shot, and it looked like they got smacked around.
That's what happened.
Because again, you might say, well, it's only 3.5 now, but that difference of a half point off that key number is as important as any number.
Oh yeah, and them outfits that were able to lay 3 and get 4.5, that's a great spot right now to be in.
Yeah. All right, Marco, you're going to make your official free pick in this game. I don't think it's worth too much comment, but I'm winning the 2010 free pick challenge here.
You're ranked number 1 here.
I'm one of 3. Unfortunately, you guys have been killing me long term, but I've been 2-1, so I'm going to just be happy about that this month. Tell us about real quick about your free pick record, and then let's hear your free pick.
Free pick record 15-6, 1-2 the last 3 in 2010.
I noted that.
Yeah, thank you. But 15-6 for the year. This game, we're going to go back to the scene of the crime. Last week I lost with the under in the New Orleans game. I'm going to come right back with the same play. And situation being, to me, again, everybody looked last week. They saw the Saints go up and down the field. This isn't Arizona that they're going to be going up and down the field against this week. The people saw, Green Bay have an impressive win last week. I got
Minnesota.
When I say Favre,
because Green Bay,
it still triggers Green Bay in my head. Sorry about that. But Minnesota and Favre, they scored a lot of points. I will say I thought it was absolutely classless, the last touchdown they put on the board at the end of the game with Favre passes and balls.
See,
I know. Let's stop them if you could.
Yeah, well, no, it's not even that. It's and let's not get into this because it's water cooler stuff. But real quick, if you're trying as hard as you, did they have their first string in on defense? Then the other, if you want to submit and say mercy,
send your kicker in at defensive tackle.
No, just put your second string and quit blitzing.
You're right.
I mean, they're blitzing on and they're trying to strip the ball. They're worried about the feelings of Wade Phillips. That's why that team's a losing team. Is that what they're talking about after the game, other than being dismantled? Anyway, go ahead.
For not talking about it for a while, he had a strong opinion on it. My point is on this game, and I mentioned it in our first segment, that when you looked at the 2 winners from last week, you could make the case that they didn't look as impressive winning as they did. It's the opposite in this game. These 2 teams couldn't have looked any better than they did last week coming together to meet. I don't think this line moves off of 3.5. It's never going to go to 3. Definitely won't go to 3. Slight possibility that this game reaches 4.
But
I think it'll stay right at 3.5. because of the far factor.
Your bet's on the total.
I know, but
What are we
I'm
talking
making
about?
a comment about the line that VR made and what I think the line's going to do here.
Yeah, we'll get back to it. It's not. You don't have. So your pick is on the under.
The pick is on the under.
It's like he's got one chance. He's going to read down his.
Well,
note
sometimes you never get back to me when you two start.
I try to judge the quality of what's being said. Now, I'll see if I'll go back in a second. Now,
the under here.
Official free pick under.
pick.
I love this. And Marco and I like to bet amongst ourselves here on the show. I love this. I did a little research with the 57 total last week and found out in NFL history, all right, now this is kind of interesting, not NFL history, from 1989 on, anytime the total is over 50, so let's say an extremely high total, it's gone under 59% of the time. And that makes sense. I mean, that's an extreme number.
Yeah.
I would have thought 53 or 54, 55. But whenever you have a total that high, you know you got super high octane offenses that the public loves.
Absolutely.
And they're gonna jack it a couple
It's
points.
inflated, yeah.
And I agree with you 100%. Two is, as a key factor, the fact that there was a big, 57 wasn't a problem. We went over that. We'll go over 54. So I love it. I think this is, to me, the strongest pick on the board.
I agree. I definitely think the value's there, but to be frank and honest, I don't know if I could hold a ticket with an under and the Saints on it.
Well, usually the best bets are the painful
They're
ones.
the ones you're afraid to make, exactly. No, you're absolutely right. And I'll probably will look to bet this under because I do think there is value there. But again, I think you may be holding your breath a couple times there because neither of these teams have been able to run against each other. I mean, they did play last year, and Peterson did nothing against the Saints, and Reggie Bush and the Saints running backs did nothing against Minnesota. It all happened through the air. Yes, it wasn't Brett Favre, it was Gus Farah. But the bottom line is, they attempted 26 times to run the ball, Minnesota, and they only rushed for 44 yards. And they just abandoned it quickly and went to the air, and that's what the Saints did. And I'm just afraid if these teams abandon their run early, who's going to be able to stop the other?
They're not, and I'm going to tell you, and I know this is going to sound silly. Minnesota does not win this game if they have to rely on Brett Favre. They need
of course.
They need Peterson to step up and win this game. Just like last week, the Saints needed Reggie Bush to have a game, and he did. You kept that other offense off the field with drives.
You think the Saints needed Reggie Bush to beat the Cards?
That was
a difference maker, but you're saying if Reggie Bush was on the bench,
it made it easy.
All right,
Yeah,
fair
because they
enough.
only had
easy
5
for them.
rushes.
Fair enough.
I look for this game to be played more as it is the NFC Championship
Sure.
game. It's going to be played more not to lose than rather to win, not the gunslinger
I
type
don't
game.
agree with that either. And again, that's why there's difference of opinions. The number is it 54?
53 today.
53. It doesn't have to be conservative. It's not going to be conservative. It just can't be there has to be 5 stops among,
Right.
in the game. We don't need, if the line was 39, we would need a conservative line. I mean, why are the Saints the Saints have played a couple big games this year. The Giants, remember, we forget how big that game was in New
At
Orleans.
the time, it was very big.
All right. New England,
yeah.
Did they come out conservative? I mean, their nature.
Yeah.
I think you're making.
Peyton's not going to.
Their nature
Yeah.
is when the chips are down, we want to get wild.
Yeah.
I don't think we should count on conservativeness. I think we should count on the fact that I agree with you. Is if Minnesota is able to stay in this game, they want to slow the game
ball
down.
game down and not turn the ball over. And
Arizona didn't.
Yeah.
So you had an Arizona team that wanted to track meet. The number's 57. Here you have a team, if Minnesota can stay in it, even for the first half, they can slow that game down enough. It's going to be hard to go to 53.
You can slow this game down even using Chester Taylor in bubble screens and different things that are just a continuation of the running game. That's how Minnesota wins the
and
game.
the last
if
2
they
games,
can
they
win.
only allowed 10 points.
All right.
But going in, they're not going to hold the Saints to 10 points.
All right, guys, we're running up against it with the first segment. Remember, we got a second segment on this exact same game, so we're going to be back with that. Remember, you can get all of our stuff at pregame.tv. We got a new feature. Go to YouTube, which you can get to directly through pregame.tv, and make a comment on the score of this game. Get it exactly right, and we'll give you $50 pregame dollars free. Okay, back with the next segment.